Hi there, this is Nisha here, and I'm here giving you a deck profile of my Battlin Boxers, as you can see in the title. Don't be stupid. You knew this was coming. Don't be stupid. So, let's start this off. Now, it's my personal deck. I personally love this deck. This is one of my top four. It's even made by a character in anime. I really just love this deck. So let's start this off. So we start off with one blaster. Then we got the three switch hitters. Not one, not two, but three. He's very broken. He's like a wolf bark for battling boxers. He's non-summon, you special summon the Battlin Boxer from your graveyard. Any position you want, but you can only summon out battling boxers this turn. It can even be the exceed. There's no condition to what battling boxer you summon, but the only thing you do this turn is summon out battling boxers. And it's only when he's normal summoned. Then there may be a setback, you have to use your normal summon on him, but at least he brings another monster out. He could be a lead yoke. He can go into automatic lead yoke. And that's pretty good. We got the three glass jowl. The glass jowl is here for not only for the buffed up attack, but for the fact that when he sends a graveyard by a card effect, that means mill, excavated, destroyed, discarded, sent from the banished to the grave, anyway. This card sent to the grave by a card effect. You add a Battlin Boxer from your hand, from your grave to your hand, except for him, which is pretty good. You get if you have a switch hit in your grave, you can bring that back, and then after that, next turn, normal summon, special summon him, lead yoke. Here we got the three headgeared. Let me just put this over here. You got the three headgeared. What he does is when he's normal summon, you mill one Battling Boxer. That's good with glass jaw. Gets you a free Battlin Boxer from your grave, or what I usually do is I just usually send a switch hitter and then wait till my first glass jaw, and then just bring that back, and then lead yoke. And once return in face of attack position, he can't be destroyed by battle, so that's good for attacking. He could also mill another good amount of cards. The three counter punches and a Rib Garden. Now, what counter punch does is that you banish him from your hand or graveyard. Yeah, he's a hand trap or a graveyard trap. And once per turn, you're going to use this effect once per turn. So you have three of them in your graveyard, and you're going to use one per turn. You can banish him, and Battlin Boxer gains 1,000 attack in a battle. He's kind of like a clue. And that's pretty broken, especially for this deck. You could discard him. His effect would still be active. You can mill him. You can do whatever you want. That's why I use a lot of discarding cards like Blaster and milling cards in this deck. And Rib Gardener, he has the same activation requirement as Counterpunch. You can activate in the hand or grave. You banish him, you banish a Battling Boxer. Now that may seem bad, but that is good for when your opponent may have something set up that can really hurt you. Like, let's say they de-prison you. You activate this. Next turn, it comes back. Even though it's usually just for protecting your monster. If you know you can do something with the monster next turn, then you keep it. If you don't, then I suggest not wasting it. That's why I only use one. But it's also good with discarding cards like Blaster and thing. If you don't know what Blaster does, just ask in the comments. Me or other people would probably help you with that. Next, we got two Spar, not three, two. I run him at two. He's kind of like a Kizan or a Bora, whichever you want to call it. You control a Battlin Boxer, you special summon. But the turn you do that, you cannot use your battle phase. You can't even go into it. So on Dev Pro, if you accidentally go to accidentally go to battle phase when you were supposed to summon out this, but for some reason you wouldn't be able to summon, and you would just waste your turn. And that's why I only use him at 2, because he's really only for first turn. Like, let's say you get a head geared first turn, you mill 1, then you special him, and then you go into lead yoke. Or when you want to go into more deeper exceeds, he's your guy. But you would not be able to attack that turn. So we got the Flammable Fire Dog at 2. When he destroys a monster by battle, you get to special summon a fire monster from your deck with 200 or less defense, which is pretty good for this deck, because with him, when he destroys a monster by battle, you can either bring him out the Glassjaw, or you can go into our next monster, the Flammable Magician. He is a level 4 tuner. It's 200 defense fire, level 4. So you are going to see a few synchros in this. You can use more than one of him if you want, but I personally just like to use one just for the convenience. I don't want to have too much of him, and that is really helpful for me. Next, the Brushfire Knight. When he's destroyed, or when any other fire monster you control is destroyed and this card is face up, basically you get to send a fire monster from deck to the grave. Milling fire monsters is pretty good for this deck, so I suggest he is a pretty good card too. Boxing Spirits, even though they need like 2 of these, I only have 1 at a time, but basically what this does, you mill 1, and then you special Battlin Boxer from your grave, and you can only activate 1 of these per turn. But that is good if you want to go into exceeding, or that's why this card can also help you if you want to go into something that requires 3 level 4s, like 105, and you don't have and you summoned out Switch Hitter into Glassjaw, but then you have nothing else to summon. Just use this, or you can use the Spar and then go into that. 2, Circle of the Fire Kings, not only for special summoning, not only for bringing out the higher attack monsters when you need them, but also for the convenience. For for the OTKs and all that. If you have let's say that you for some reason pull into a weak monster, and then you could attack with that monster, activate this card, and then after that destroy it, special summon out another blaster or other Battlin Boxer of some sort. This card's pretty good. You destroy a fire monster, special summon out another one from your grave with a different name. Wait, does it have to be a different name? Oh no, it doesn't even have to be a different name. It's just any other fire monster, but you're going to act 1 per turn. It's also when I want to bring out the Flammable Magician to synchro, or when I draw into a dead counterpunch and get a dead counterpunch or Rib Gardener. You can use this, bring back someone else from your graveyard, and try to make yourself a final stand. Reinforcing an army doesn't really have to be explained. You just search into basically any warrior in this deck, any Battlin Boxer when you need it, and warrior returning alive. People say that you don't need this in this deck because you have Glassjaw, but I personally like to use this for when you don't get Glassjaw's effect. It's really helpful. Foolish Burial, as I said before, there's going to be a lot of mill cards in here, so it is pretty good. Forbidden Chalice, just to stop those little monster effects, and you can overpower them with Lead Yoke or with Lead Yoke, with Counterpunch. You can overpower your monsters, or your opponent's monsters. Or when you need that extra 400 attack by some rare occasion, you can do that too. A Predator, not for this card, even though it may be Noble Arms, I use this in almost every warrior deck I run because of its convenience. Because you equip to a warrior, that warrior loses 500 attack, and pop 1 set card your opponent controls. Now, obviously, this works best in Noble Knights, but it could work in any warrior deck. Even if your opponent controls a warrior, equip this to him, destroy 1 of their set. It's kind of like that fire formation spell card where you just target one set card and it can't be chained or activated. It's kind of like that. It's just like it was made for Fire Fist, but any deck can use it. But this one is warrior specific. It has to be equipped to a warrior. So if your opponent controls a warrior that has a bit too much attack, equip it to them, destroy one of their set. Or if you have a warrior that either before you exceed, you could do this. You could pop one of their cards before you exceed. That usually helps. Or you could thing. Now, you've probably noticed by now that I don't run any Blue Flame Swordsman. I do understand he's broken. I do understand that, but I personally do not want to run him in this deck. He's not really needed. So the next card is gonna have to be Dark Hole. Not really need to explain, especially when you got the lead yoke out. Just use this on them. The next card, Lightning Vortex. Now this may be a little crazy, but if you have an extra box in your hand and you have a switch hitter, or if you have a counterpunch or a rib garda, this will not affect you. But if you don't, then this card will be a risk. But if your opponent has something that may really hurt you, then you can really use this. The good thing about this is only hurts your opponent. That's why I like it. But you do -2, so make sure that it's really worth it what you destroy. These two guys, Econ and Book. Yeah, I know my Econ's in bad condition. My Econ is like I use Econ for also because of convenience. There's gonna be a lot of cards about in this deck for convenience. You just target you can change the battle vision of one phase of monster opponent controls. Of course, this card targets, or you can tribute one of your own monsters and take control of your opponent's monster for the turn. That's it. That monster has no limitation. You can sync or exceed whatever you want. That's why I like it, especially in Heretics. Heretics is broken with this, but in any deck this could be good. And Book and Moon, it's just a staple. Run out one. Next is Limited Bearings Force. What it does is you target a rank 4 exceed monster you control. It could be any rank 4. And then you rank it up one rank, and you special mount a number C monster that is one rank higher. And it's treated as exceed something. Now, the thing about this, some people rather run Bearings Force, Numeron's Force. I mean, of course, obviously. But the thing about this is if you have a dead lead yoke, let's say that you had to bring it back with something, you could use the Limited Bearings Force to bring out a good Utopia Ray Victory. Or if you had a dead Utopia, same thing. Call the Haunted, bring back those dead monsters. Mirror Force doesn't really need to be explained. Doesn't really need to be explained. The rest doesn't really need to be explained. It's just staples you can use. These are to stop your opponent's traps. They pay 1,000 negate. This can even stop Solemn. Trap Stun just stops all traps this turn in general. But if they chain to it, their traps still work. Magic Cylinder just for inflicting that little extra damage. And Pulse for getting those annoying cards off the field. Alright, let's go into the extra deck. Anyway, this is Nitro back here, and I covered the main deck. Now I'm covering the extra deck. Sorry I had to switch, but this thing, I had to do something, so sorry for the quality drop, but you just gotta bear with me. So we start this off with 3 Leo Yokes. You know, the main exceeded the deck. What he does is 2 Battlin Boxers. And if he be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you detach 1, he gains 800. Well, he gains 800 whenever Exceed material is detached. And you can use Exceed material to stop him from being destroyed. So that is a pretty broken combo. So he uses effect twice. Since he only requires 2, he has 20 to attack. He will be at 38 if he uses effect twice, 3,000 if he uses effect once. Fire, so it really works with a lot of the deck. And just works good in general. And if you run Magnum Shield, I don't, but I remember I used to, he would have 4,200 attack. The thing would be so broken back then. Those were the days where Boxers first came out. It's probably like a year ago. Well, almost a year ago. Next, 105. Because you're barely going to go for him. And when you do, he's going to be pretty goddamn useful. Because what he could do, he's 25 hitter. He's like an arm master if you detach, except better. So basically, if you detach, you only detach when any Battlin Boxer is battling. So he's a Battlin Boxer, and his effect also works for himself. And what he does is he's not destroyed by battle, or the monster that's the Battlin Boxer monster is not destroyed by battle, or the one you control is not destroyed by battle. And then your opponent's monster's effect is negated, and they take all the damage. So if you were to battle, say, Cataster, you attack it, effect negated, and they will take 300. Or if you were to battle Utopia, detach, effect negated, only Utopia is destroyed because you're not destroyed by battle. Let's say you were to battle, I don't know. Let's say you're to battle it's really hard to battle these days. Star Eater. When Star Eater attacks, you can't really use this guy's effect. But if you attack, then, well, actually, yeah. If Star Eater attacks him, it's only Star Eater that wouldn't be affected by anything. But he wouldn't be destroyed by battle, and they'll take 800. And if you have a counter punch, you could blow that, bring him up to 35 and overpower the Star Eater if they don't have anything. But he's a pretty good card. He uses in any deck that uses level 4s. I really suggest him for any deck that uses any level 4s. He's pretty broken for battling. So it's called Battlin Boxer. Next, we got 2 Utopias on deck. Gold and Super. And, it doesn't really require explanation. He's just 25 hitter, 2 level 4, stops 2 attacks. And after, if he has no Exceed material and he's attacked, he's automatically destroyed, which does cause replay battle, which means they can attack again. So you have to put use to him. You have to use him good. You have to use him pretty good, or else he's going to be terrible after his Exceed materials are gone. Then we got the Heroic Triple Threat. I run these in every warrior deck I use, even 6 Samurais. Basically, we got the Ghost for Excalibur. I don't think I've showed this to you guys before, but we got the Ghost for Excalibur. Does detach 2, double his attack, 2 level 4 warriors. He's at 2,000. He'll be at 4,000 when you use that effect. He's a light, so you can honest him if you use some type of light deck. But in this deck, he's just for power, just for killing your opponent more easily. Gandiva is more of a summon stopper. What he does is when level 4 lower monster would be summoned to your opponent's side of the field once per turn, detach 1, destroy that monster. It doesn't negate the summon. If they have an effect that activate when they're summoned, that effect is not negated unless it says when this card is something. I'm sorry, I forgot. But basically, he does not negate the summon. He only destroys a monster. But that is still good if you're facing. If you bring this out mid game, if your opponent has a clear field and you know that they're gonna try to exceed next turn for rank 4, they try to go to 101 Arknight, or they try to go for something else. This card could probably be the thing that stops them. So you use this in every warrior deck. I don't care what you use, as long if you use a good amount of level 4s, level 4 warriors, you should use this. And last but not least, Kusanagi. He's 3 level 4 warriors. He stops traps, and he gains 500 when he does. Once per turn, you detach one negated trap, and it's a trap. And then, and if you do, he gains 500. So if he uses effect 3 times, he'll be at 4,000. If he uses effect twice, he'll be at 35. If he uses it once, he'll be at 3,000. That's why I personally like him the best of the 3. Even though I am a big King Arthur fan, so Excalibur does get top, but personally, he has the best effect of the 3. That's why I like him. Next is the Chaos Exceeds. Now, obviously, you saw the limited variance force earlier in the profile, and these are just 4. Now, you got the Utopia, so you can understand why I have this. This guy, he's also pretty broken. I'm gonna explain to you all their effects. So, what this guy does. Now, obviously, you're not gonna use 4 level 5s for him. You're gonna limited variance force with 105 or with any rank 4. Any rank 4, you can go into any of these 3 decks. But I personally suggest Cestus or Utopia Victory if you do not have Utopia when limited burying, because he's the only one that doesn't have a good effect when he does not have his the monster that he originally needs attached to him. But what 105 does is that if he destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict half of your opponent the monster's original attack. And if he has Cestus equal to him, 105, the one I showed you earlier, then once per turn you just detach one, destroy a monster on the field. Doesn't even have to be face up. You just target one monster your opponent controls and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack while on the field. So if they Excalibur you, and Excalibur still has its 4,000 boost because it ends on your opponent's turn, you use this, they take 4,000. This guy, what he does, of course you're not going to use 3 level 5s, but what he does is that he just detach one. He does the exact same thing. It says just destroy one, and destroy one monster. It doesn't have to be face up, and inflict damage to its attack on the field. So it is also pretty broken. His first effect is that when he's destroyed, you add a exceed monster from your grave back into your extra deck. Yep. And Victory, the showstopper, he's kind of like a Star Cestus, except a little better. What he does is that when he attacks, your opponent can activate spell traps. That's its original effect. So if you rank up, I suggest going for him, unless you know that they have no back row, so then you go for Cestus. But if they have back row, I suggest going for him. And if you rank up Utopia, then you could detach one while Utopia 16 material. And then when he attacks a monster, detach one, the monster's effects negate it, and you gain that monster's attack. So if it's an Arm Master, you're going to gain 25, and you're going to be 28 over him, instead of 300 over him. And that's what I like about this card. You're always going to be 28 higher than your opponent. And and also because of the first effect, they still can't activate spell traps when he attacks. But if they have something like a Kalu, well, 3 Kalus. They'll need 3 Kalus to overpower this, or 2 if they want to bump heads. Then good for them. But if not, then they're screwed. And that's why he's up with victory. He just gets rid of monsters on the field without having to worry about back row. But if they do compulsive before he gets a chance to attack, then, or even solemn or bottomless, you don't see a lot of people running compulsive anymore. I don't know why. Maybe because it's that one. Most people run it at like 2 or 3, but personally, I still use that one. It's still pretty convenient. I mean, it can still save you at times, but it does have its setbacks. And last but not least, with the mighty extra deck, 3 synchros. Yes, they're all level 8, because you're going to be going to level 8s. I do understand that, if you get a dead magician and a dead counterpuncher or Grave Gardener, that you would not be able to do anything. But just set the counterpuncher Grave Gardener when you do. That'll probably save you. Probably. If not, then you can change the stack up. You don't have to net deck. But basically you run Stardust for stopping stuff that destroys, or my personal favorite combo out of the 3, you can run Scrap Dragon, so that when so you can use Scrap Dragon's effect on Lead Yoke, and then Lead Yoke would stop itself from being destroyed by detaching 1, and then you could pop 1 card your opponent controls. So Lead Yoke would get an extra 800 boost, and you would get to pop a card your opponent controls. And that's pretty good about this card. But basically what you do is you destroy 1 card you control, destroy 1 card your opponent controls. That's all it does. And if he's destroyed, if you have any scrap non-secret monsters in your graveyard, you special summon that. And Colossal, he is just a powerhouse. He's just a powerhouse. He gains 100 for every warrior in either player's graveyard. So if your opponent has 10 warriors in their graveyard, he gains 1,000. And if you have 5 warriors in your graveyard, he gains an extra 500. So you gain 1,500 in total, and that will leave him at 4,300. And when he's destroyed by battle, you get to special summon a warrior type from either player's graveyard. So if he's destroyed by battle, you just special summon him back. You just special summon himself back. You just keep doing that. This guy, that's why when he first came out, people thought he was a real threat, because this guy cannot he can be destroyed by battle, but he will just come back when he is. And that's what I like about him. That's why I use him. He's probably one of the best warrior synchros out there. Not including Xian. We all know Xian's broken. But this guy, he's still pretty good. You use him at 1. You can use more if you want. But personally, the only thing I personally like these 3 as a combo. You can also use Crimson Blader, Thought Ruler, Archfiend, all the good stuff. But these 3 I see as personally best fit. And now we go into the side deck. Now, this is not a 15 card side deck. I do understand that. I do realize that this may not work against every deck. But this is really all I got for right now. So, oh my god, he started with DD Crow, yay. Now, start off with 2 DD Crows. What the hell do you think this is? Start with 2 DD Crows. He got bumped up when, well, I believe he got bumped up when zombies came back. He's a counter zombie card. Counter zombie Lightsworn card. I'm like, what? You got 4 Lightsworn in your graveyard? You got 3 now. What? You got a Mizuki in your graveyard? You got a Malicious in your graveyard? Nah, not anymore. I personally like him. He's like a he's like a hand trap that could really save you if you use it correctly. If you don't know how to use DD Crow, then just don't use it. But if you use it at the right time, this thing can save you. This thing can stop a judgment. This thing can stop a blacklisted soldier. This thing can stop a whole bunch of things. Chaos Sorcerer, the light rays, all of them. It can stop all of them, and that's why I like him. He's a showstopper, but only when used at the right time. Because if your opponent has like 10 things in their grave, and he just uses for no reason, then you're gonna be screwed. Just go for the thing that's most effective. When Monster Reborn was, that was like a few formats ago, but when Monster Reborn was here, before I got banned again, he was also pretty good because you could change the effect to Monster Reborn, and they have to show you the target that they choose first. So then you just change DD Crow, gone. That's why I love it. You got 2 MST for Fire Fist. Obviously, you don't main deck them. You don't need them in the main deck. Most decks, you can get over the things that most decks have with their main deck. But if you really feel like you're facing someone who's really back row heavy, or if you're facing Fire Fist or someone that relies on back row, you definitely run MSTs. Just don't use them against artifacts. Just so you know that now. I was never really a fan of this card, but Soul Taker, you Strom, a face on monster opponent controls, they gain 1,000. Recently, a lot of people have been telling me this card was good. I don't really agree with it, but I do feel like this thing could be the reason why a game is won rather than a game being lost, and that could be very helpful. Two Flying Sea. What they do is they're just an ultimate troll. When your opponent normal summons or special summons a monster, except during the damage step, special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's side of the field of face of defense, and the controller of this card cannot exceed summon. So they cannot exceed summon while this card is on the field, or on their side of the field. And that just ultimately may slow a deck down. They may be forced to keep level 2 monsters or level 3 monsters on the field with no exceed because they have a Flying Sea on their field, which really may stop a lot of decks. And that's why I love it. I was even playing my friend, and he used this against me, and I got tight. Luckily, I still had synchros, but this thing could really get you to the wrong places. This is just side deck against zombies or decks that use Zombie World only, because if not, then this card is pointless in your side deck. But I do feel there are a lot of zombie players this format, or Zombie World players this format, so you could try it. This card does, you special summon a zombie from your graveyard for free, no cost, no nothing, no limit, and then you banish a monster from your graveyard, from your opponent's graveyard, not yours, your opponent's. And zombie decks, they made this card too broken. I know not every zombie player uses it at 3, but I feel like if someone were to find a way to use this card, it will be too broken. Thing is, your opponent has a monster in the graveyard, so it could be a little risky. Next is the Chaos Trap Holes. You pay 2,000, negate the summon of a light or dark, and then banish it. These cards are good against certain decks, chaos decks. That's mainly what's in the meta these days. And then you banish it. You don't destroy it, you banish it. So it's like it's a more fair version of Solemn Warning. That's why it's still at 3. But people don't use it. I personally just side deck it for when I need it. But because because you're not gonna like those Chaos Sorcerers. You're not gonna like those Blackluster Soldiers. You're not gonna like those Judgments. So use this. And last but not least, I know, right? There's more. So crazy. But basically, I'm just gonna take a few minutes to explain to you other cards you can use. So other cards you can use is stuff like Lavels. You could definitely mix Lavels with Boxers. I've seen it done before. Definitely with the 3 Rekindlings, the Magicians, the Fire Dogs, these guys too. These guys could definitely work inside Lavels. Fire Dog, Burner, Conduction Field, Forest Sprite could definitely bring you out. The Dragoon for searches, Miller, and Kurenai. You don't really need to. Ooh, damn. You don't really need to bring put Lavels in to use this. You can use this either way, especially when your lead yoke is at 3,800 attack, and they deprison you. Flip, they take 38. You tribute a fire monster and inflict damage equal to its attack. And this card is also you don't need to bring in Lavels to use, but it is suggested because, well, this card itself is suggested because it could discard 1, return 1 card from your opponent's field back to top of their deck. So it may seem like a 1-for-1, but they're really minusing 2. They're minusing 1 card on their field and they're minusing their next draw. But do not use this card on a card that will benefit them if it gets to the top of their deck. Like let's say it was a Wolf Bark and you used it on. Wolf Bark's effect would still activate, and then they will get a free monster, and Wolf Bark will go back to the top of the deck. No, don't use it on that. Exceeds and Synchros, you could probably use this on if you're desperate, if you really need that monster out of the field. But other than that, only really use on cards where it will be hard for them to pay the cost again or use it again, like Blackluster Soldier. Summon it, use this. They lose their next draw. They lose the Art of Surprise. You already know what they're gonna draw, and that's why people like using this card. I will put this in the deck later if I have space, but this is really it for now. And I don't really want to know what you thought of this deck. Comment, message, subscribe. I don't really care. I just want to know what you thought of this deck, the whole gist of it. I know this deck can use some work. There's lots of cards I don't use that a lot of Lava players use, like the Chameleon, Blue Flame Swordsman, a whole lot of stuff. But personally, this is like how I like running my Battlin Boxer deck. And the side deck cards aren't really needed, but they could be suggested. So, this was Nisha here, and peace to you all.